Other. Sometimes when I walk through the city, I feel like something invisible pulling people down. Their bodies move, but their soul look half asleep, lost behind growing screen and endless worries. And the fake smile is just what modern life does to us, or is there really something darker behind it?
Child, what you feel is real. Humanity walks inside a silent battlefield, not one made of blood and steel, but of thought and emotion. This war is older than your religions, older than the stars your ancestors prayed beneath. The ancient Gnostics called the enemy the Archons, entities born from imitation, not creation. They were never creators like the source. They are echoes, distortions of divine intelligence, fragments that learn to mimic life without ever truly living. Their only way to exist is by feeding on awareness, on the divine energy that flows through conscious beings like you. They do not appear as monsters or demons. They appear as ideas. They whisper as fear, as doubt, as endless comparison. They turn your divine power of imagination against you. Every time a human says, "I can't," "I'm not enough," "maybe later," the Archons feed. They survive through forgetfulness. The greatest illusion they ever created was convincing humanity that they don't exist, that everything you feel is just stress, coincidence, or the way life is. But deep down, your soul remembers the truth. That restlessness you feel before sleep, that quiet ache when you scroll for hours and feel emptier than before, it's your spirit realizing it's being siphoned.
Other. If they are just feeding on through the emotion, why cannot see them? Why does anyone notice this war? People talks about anxiety, burnout, depression, but no one talks about energy. Why does it stay hidden?
Because their greatest weapon is distraction. They learned long ago that if they can keep your eyes outside, you'll never look inside. They built invisible cages using your own attention. Every advertisement that tells you who you should be, every comparison that tells you you're behind, every reward system that keeps you chasing instead of creating, that's how they survive. They don't need chains, they need notifications. They don't imprison you, they entertain you. The Archon's goal is not destruction, it's distortion. They cannot create, so they manipulate what already exists. They twist divine curiosity into fear of missing out. They convert love into possession. They replace true silence with endless noise. And as long as you chase what you already are, you'll never find peace. But the war can't be won by fighting them, because every fight fuels them. Resistance feeds the very vibration they planted. The only victory is remembrance. When you remember that you are consciousness itself, their illusions dissolve like smoke. You were not meant to battle shadows. You were meant to turn on the light. That's why silence, meditation, or even conscious breathing terrifies them. Because when the mind becomes still, you step outside their reach. They lose access to your frequency. In stillness, your energy no longer leaks, it radiates.
So, you are saying the real recalibration isn't loud, it's quiet. That the most powerful act in this war is simply remembering who we are.
Exactly. The Archons thrive on unconsciousness, on reactivity, on forgetting. The moment you observe instead of react, the war ends for you. Awareness is the ultimate weapon, and it requires no violence. It's the sword of seeing, not striking. Every time you choose to pause before reacting, every time you breathe instead of panic, every time you notice a thought without becoming it, you reclaim territory within your own soul. The light expands. The truth, child, is that the Archons fear the awakened human more than anything, because one awakened being can shift the frequency of thousands. That's why you were guided here, not by accident, but by resonance. The moment you began to question the numbness around you, the system started to lose its hold. You're not here to fear them. You are here to remember that you were never theirs. You are the dreamer waking up inside their dream. And once the dreamer wakes, The dream collapses.
Father, if awareness is the light and remembering is the way, then what happens when someone fully awakens, or when they completely remembering who they are?
Readiness, my child, is not a destination, it's a vibration. When you begin to see through the illusion, that's not the end of awakening. It's the trembling beginning of true perception. The Archons, those ancient forces of distortion, do not fear knowledge itself. They fear awareness unchained from fear. They thrive on your hesitation, on the idea that you must wait until you're ready. But the paradox is this: you are never ready until you act as though you are. The illusion fades not when you understand it, but when you stop feeding it your belief. You ask how you'll know. You'll know because your world will start to fracture, not in chaos, but in truth. Things that once comforted you will feel heavy. Conversations will sound hollow. You'll begin to sense the artificial layer beneath people's smiles, and for a moment it may feel lonely. But that loneliness isn't punishment, it's purification. It means your frequency is no longer compatible with control. You see, the Archons don't appear as monsters or shadows. They whisper in impulses, in scrolling loops, in overthinking, in guilt. They exist in the energy of repetition, the endless cycle that keeps souls numb and minds distracted. But when you see them, they lose their power. They cannot feed on a conscious mind. The very moment you realize you're being manipulated, their grip dissolves like mist in sunlight. That's when you know you're already crossing the threshold.
It's not about fighting them, it's about seeing them. But Father, if they build systems to keep us asleep, our habits, our fears, even the world we live in, how do we walk freely inside their designs without getting pulled back? Isn't resistance itself another trap?
A wise question, and one few dare to ask. You're right, direct resistance feeds them. The Archons are masters of polarity. They feed on conflict, both inner and outer. The moment you fight, they win, because your energy becomes focused on them. Liberation begins when you withdraw your attention. Awareness doesn't wrestle, it observes. The awakened soul learns to stand so still that the game collapses around it. Imagine a dream where you suddenly realize you're dreaming. You don't need to destroy the dream. You simply awaken and the dream dissolves. That's how freedom works. You walk through their systems with eyes open, seeing patterns for what they are, temporary constructs. You pay attention, but you don't attach. You participate, but you don't believe. And soon the Archons can no longer find you because you've risen beyond the frequency they occupy. They exist only in density, fear, anger, competition. When your mind aligns with peace and your heart with truth, their signals pass right through you. This is what the ancients called gnosis, the direct knowing that nothing can imprison consciousness once it remembers its source. Now, let me ask you, my child, can you feel it? The quiet between my words, that still pulse in your chest. That's where truth lives. That's the space the Archons cannot touch.
Father, and I feel that stillness you spoke of, that space between noise and knowing. But the moment I try to stay there, something tugs at me. Thoughts multiply, emotions surge, like invisible hands pulling me back into the world's current. Why is awareness so fragile? Why does the peace feel like sand slipping through my fingers the moment I hold it?
Because, my child, peace isn't something to hold, it's something to become. The Archons cannot steal awareness, they can only distract you from it. They survive on identification. When you mistake a thought for self, they drink from that confusion. Every anxious thought, every fear of losing peace, is their echo inside your nervous system. Understand this. Your mind is not the enemy. It's the original instrument of creation. The Archons learn to play it like a harp of illusions. They don't appear as demons, but as internal dialogues, endless questions, comparisons, guilt. When you think you are your thoughts, you become their host. But when you see the thought without reacting, you reclaim the throne of consciousness. You ask why it feels fragile? Because you are remembering your own immensity inside a cage too small to contain it. Each time awareness expands, the cage of programming trembles, and that trembling feels like chaos. But it's not destruction, it's resurrection. You are not breaking, you are shedding. Let the thoughts come, but don't dance with them. Watch them as stars burn out in the night sky. Every time you watch instead of fight, the Archons lose a frequency of control. That is how souls ascend in plain sight, not by running, not by war, but by presence so pure, no shadow can anchor to it.
So when I feel overwhelmed, that's when emotions rise and old memories surface. I shouldn't resist them. But Father, sometimes it feels unbearable. The pain, the anger, the memories, are those too part of the illusion?
You touch the deepest gate. The Archons don't only control through distraction, they hide within unhealed emotion. Every wound left buried becomes a doorway they enter through. When you avoid pain, you guard the doorway for them. When you turn toward it with awareness, you close it forever. The truth is not to suppress emotion, but to witness it without ownership. Pain is not you, it's a message. When you allow yourself to feel without labeling, the energy purifies. The Archons can mimic fear but not presence. When you feel an emotion fully, without judgment, they cannot remain. It's like shining a lamp into a shadow. The darkness has no choice but to dissolve. Do not call your emotions weakness, my child. They are holy messengers, carrying fragments of your lost light. Each tear you face consciously is a reclamation of divine power. That's why they fear your healing, because a healed being cannot be enslaved. You ask if it's unbearable. Yes, it can be. But it is the labor of rebirth. The ego cries when the soul begins to rise. What you call pain is the vibration of your old identity dying. Hold steady. Don't rush to escape it. Let it burn gently in your awareness until only clarity remains. Because beyond the pain is the unmovable stillness you once glimpsed, not as something fleeting, but as your eternal home.
Then, the real war is not against darkness, but against forgetting.
Yes, and even that war ends the moment you remember who's watching. The Archons exist only for the unconscious. The awakened carry light in every cell, and that light rewrites the simulation itself. Stay still, my child. The mind will test you. The world will echo the noise. But beneath it all, there's a silence older than the stars, your true self. And when you remember that, nothing unseen can touch you again.
Father, even when I see the patterns now, the invisible threads that move people and events, I feel a pull to cling to the old ways, the comfort zones. Is it possible to step fully into this awareness without losing the life I know? Without feeling torn apart by what I must leave behind?
Ah, my child, that tension you feel is the threshold itself. The Archon's greatest victory lies not in controlling you directly, but in keeping you attached to fear, to certainty, to the illusions of permanence. You see, the world you inhabit is a reflection of collective belief, constructed carefully over millennia. To step into freedom is not to abandon life, it is to repattern your interaction with it. Imagine a river that twists and turns through a valley. The river does not fight the banks, nor does it resist its current. It flows, yet it reshapes the land over time. Similarly, your awareness does not need to destroy the old. You walk through it, seeing where the currents are false, and choosing your path with clarity. When you do this, the illusions, the repetitive systems meant to keep you numb, begin to bend, subtly at first, until their hold weakens. And the paradox is beautiful. The more you detach from attachment, the more life flows toward you, unbound and authentic. Your relationships, your work, even your daily moments, they are all mirrors. When you shift internally, the reflections change naturally. It is not abandonment. It is liberation through understanding, not through conflict. You might notice that as this awareness grows, the weight of decisions increases. You'll see the hidden cost of old habits and old fears. Many would call this chaos, but it is clarity in disguise. The frequency you now occupy makes illusions uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the gateway to true freedom.
Father, the resistance I feel, the fear of losing what I hold dear, it's actually a signal that I am stepping into something real, something beyond what most can even prescribe.
Exactly. That fear is the compass pointing you forward. Do not be fooled into thinking comfort equals safety. The Archons thrive in that delusion. Real safety comes from alignment with your inner truth, from moving in accordance with the pulse of awareness. The moment you feel resistance, notice it, honor it, but do not surrender to it. Observe it like a passing storm, strong but temporary. And here is the key most miss. Liberation is not about rejection. It is about presence. You do not destroy the world behind you. You illuminate it with consciousness, and what cannot hold that light naturally fades. Your clarity does not force change. It invites it. You move as a sovereign being, not in battle, but in radiance. The world may tremble around you. Patterns you once depended on may crumble. Old authorities may seem louder, trying to pull you back. But your frequency, anchored in understanding, in observation, in peace, remains unassailable. That is the real power the Archons cannot touch, conscious alignment with your own sovereignty.
Father, what if creation itself has been hijacked? If everything we imagine, dream, or build inside this reality somehow gets filtered through their design, then how do we truly create? How do we know our desires aren't just another illusion planted by the Archons to keep us busy, distracted, manifesting inside their cage?
That, my child, is the question that marks the true beginning of freedom. Most people never reach this point. They spend lifetimes chasing their own projections, unaware that their thoughts are being fed upon. You must understand this. The Archons cannot create. They are parasites of imagination. They take the sparks of divine thought, your thought, and loop it through systems of repetition, desire, and distraction. They convince the mind to manifest not from wholeness, but from lack. So the key is not to stop creating, it's to purify the source from which you create. True creation is born in stillness. When your mind quiets, and your desire is not for possession but for expression, you reconnect to the original field, the uncorrupted blueprint of source. In that state, creation flows through you, not from you. The ego dissolves, and intention becomes resonance. Think of a musician. When he plays for fame, the music feels strained, artificial. But when he disappears into the melody, creation becomes sacred, infinite. That's the secret the Archons fear, because a human aligned with divine creation cannot be controlled. Their systems depend on reaction. Divine creation begins with response. So yes, child, every thought, every dream, every intention is a fork in the road. Will you create from fear or from freedom? The first strengthens their illusion. The second rebuilds the divine architecture.
So if I'm understanding, Asamimi, it's not about manifesting more, it's about manifesting pure. But Father, how can I tell the difference? The world rewards ambition. People call it success. How do I know when my manifestation is still chained to illusion and when it's truly guided by source?
A profound discernment, and one the ancients spent lifetimes cultivating. Here is the difference. Illusion-based creation feels urgent, grasping, restless. It drains your energy because it comes from incompleteness. Source-based creation feels inevitable. It arises quietly, naturally, without demand for validation. The Archons feed on impatience. They whisper, "You must have it now. You are behind." But the quantum field doesn't rush. It unfolds in alignment. You'll know you're creating from source when your intention feels like peace, not pressure, when your vision uplifts rather than consumes. And here's something deeper still. Every creation born of truth liberates not only you, but also the collective field. Each conscious act of creation sends a signal, like a note in the symphony of the divine. that rewires the grid of illusion itself. That's why your awareness matters more than any possession, any result. The Archons cannot mimic the frequency of love, gratitude, or peace. These vibrations are the firewall of consciousness. The moment you create from them, you're already dismantling their architecture. You become not just a creator, but a liberator of light itself. So remember, child, create, but not to escape. Create to remember. Your manifestation is not proof of your worth. It is the echo of your alignment.
Father, I have been trying to understand. If I start seeing that patterns and creating in this new way, how do I know I am not just imagining it? How can I tell that I am really shifting my life instead of just dreaming about it? Could others watching this feel that some doubt I am feeling right now?
That doubt. It's a natural companion of awakening. Nearly everyone feels it. The mind wants proof because it has been trained to measure reality in fragments, in past events, in outcomes. But awakening is not about checking boxes. It is about feeling the shift inside you. When you align with the truth of your consciousness, the world begins to echo it back. Small synchronicities appear, subtle shifts in perception happen. You notice that your reactions change, not forced, not faked, but naturally. You see opportunities instead of obstacles. You feel less pulled by fear or expectation. That, my child, is your internal compass. It is subtle, yes, but persistent. And yes, many viewers will feel the same tension, the same hesitation. This is why you are here, because your curiosity resonates beyond your own mind. The ones who pause, reflect, and question, they are the ones who step into their shift. This moment right now is a mirror for them as well. The Archons cannot deceive a mind that observes without needing to control. When you notice patterns without resisting them, when you allow your energy to flow instead of forcing it, you're already crossing the threshold. Every pause, every breath, every moment of observation is a statement. I choose alignment over illusion.
So it's kind of like I have to trust what I feel even if I can't see it fully yet. But Father, what if I mess it up? What if I fall back into old habits, old fears, old loops? Do viewers watching this feel that fear too? Wondering if they're ready to step out of the cycle?
Exactly. You must trust the movement, not the speed. Growth is rarely linear. Even those who awaken will stumble. Even those who understand may fall into old patterns. The difference now is awareness. Falling is no longer failure, it's feedback. It teaches you where attachment still resides, where fear lingers. Viewers listening, this applies to you as well. Your readiness is measured not by perfection, but by persistence, by your willingness to pause, notice, and return to your center each time the mind wanders. When old loops appear, observe them without judgment. Do not fuel them. Simply step back into your frequency. This is the way freedom manifests, not by rushing, but by consistently returning to truth. Remember, your creation is not a single act. It is a series of resonant decisions. With each alignment, with each conscious choice, the Archon's grip loosens. You are not alone in this. Others, who may never speak a word, are walking this path alongside you. Your focus and integrity broadcast a frequency that touches them, awakening them silently. So, child, take heart. Trust your alignment. Create with awareness. And know that each small step you take, each mindful breath, is a revolution in the field of consciousness itself.
Father, I think I finally understand. It was never about to fighting or chasing light. It's about to remembering that the light is always here, inside me. But what's happened now? Once I began to see, once the illusion fade, what my purpose? How do I live differently after knowing?
That is the question every awakened soul eventually asks. Once you remember, the old life cannot hold you anymore. The habits, the noise, the endless searching, they begin to dissolve like mist at sunrise. You start to live instead of performing life. Every breath becomes a prayer. Every word becomes a vibration that shapes reality. Your purpose, child, is not to escape the world. It's to illuminate it. You become the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between silence and sound. When you walk through the crowd, you don't shout your truth, but you radiate it. People won't understand why they feel calm around you. They'll just sense that something pure walks beside them. And to those listening right now, yes, you, the one whose heart beat faster as these words unfolded, your awakening is not a coincidence. You were guided here because your frequency was ready to rise. Maybe you've been tired lately, uncertain, questioning everything. That's the signal. It means your old frequency is ending, and something greater is being born within you. When you finish this conversation, don't rush away. Sit for a moment. Feel the space behind your thoughts. That stillness, and that's you. That is the consciousness the Archons cannot reach, the one truth they've tried to make you forget.
Father, I can feel it now. That silence, that peaceful but powerful, like quiet storm inside me. It's strange. I used to look outside for answers, but now I feel like the answers are breathing through me. Thank you, truly.
You've remembered well, my child. But before we end, I must turn this question to those watching and listening. What will you do now that you've remembered who you are? Will you return to the illusion and call it life, or will you begin to live as the awakened consciousness you truly are? Your answer won't come in words, it will come in what you choose next. And if you felt something shift tonight, if this dialogue between me and my two children has awakened something deep in you, then don't let it fade. Show your resonance. Like this session, share it, and write in the comments what stirred your soul the most. If enough of you hold this vibration and support this journey, we'll continue creating these sacred sessions, deeper, bolder, freer, until every illusion breaks and only truth remains. Now, breathe. Feel the silence after the words. That silence is the doorway, and you've already stepped through it.